Hey, I'm Justin Fraser, asset manager for the DeRosa Group. I cannot wait to share this video with you. If you want to learn how to take a property where the residents are leaving, the sky is falling, occupancy is dropping to the ground, take that property and stop it and turn it around. Fill up the units, bring the right kind of people in, get those units turned quickly, and bring the right residents in to make this community the way we know it all can be, to bring it to its highest and best use. That is what you want to watch in this video with Maggie Lopez, my property manager here at the Residences at Diamond Ridge. She's going to blow your mind. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm here with my property manager, Maggie Lopez, here at our property, Residences at Diamond Ridge. This is a 336 unit property in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Now this property, it's gone through it. Okay, we've gone through some ups and some downs here. And recently we've been clearing out a lot of the folks that used to live here, that people that lived here that were underqualified, that didn't want to stick around for the kind of changes that we were making. So we made some really great positive changes. We've opened up the pool. We've got a dog park. We've got great amenities. Our maintenance team is rocking it and taking care of all the work orders. We've really started to turn this place around. It's now safe and secure and well lit. It's a really, really great community. But to get there, we had to drop occupancy. We went, when we closed on this property in the mid 90s, we brought it all the way down to just below 80% occupied. Now that was tough, right? But that is some hard decisions. We had to make some hard decisions around who qualifies, who's going to stay here, who do we want to be at this property, the kind of resident we want in the long term. So we are now almost 10 points higher than our low on occupancy. So we've gone through it, and what I want to share with you guys today is some tips and tricks from my property manager, Maggie, on how we got from where we were to where we are, and how we're going to keep going and keep building on this success to get to where we want to be. So, Maggie.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So let's talk maybe about the process first. Okay. As we have a unit like this unit, this beautiful unit comes available, how do we decide what we're even going to rent it for?
Okay. Well, so you do your marketing or market survey that we do, which is every week you call other comps and you ask them what their prices are. We kind of go from there based on what they offer and we offer, and kind of make, a plan as to what we're going to charge.
So when you say that we're actually going to make some phone calls, someone in our office is picking up the phone, and are we saying, hey, I'm Maggie from Diamond Ridge? Are we pretending to be a potential tenant? Like, what is that conversation like?
So I'll call community. It doesn't matter who it is. Usually the leasing consultant, because she's the one that gets all the applications going. But whoever in the office calls and will say, hey, this is Maggie calling from Residences Diamond Ridge, trying to do a market survey. Do you have a minute of your time to do it? Of course, you give them the option of whether giving you the information, which is the rent for their different floor plans, all the information that they have. If they don't have time, then you can either fax or email the information. So
I imagine you do this so often, you probably know the managers at the other communities,
yes,
and they're calling you and you're calling them. Mm-hmm. And so it sort of becomes a regular thing, not so secretive, but more just out in the open. We all know we're calling each other to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, and if they don't answer, we do go to the properties, introduce ourselves. Okay. I have done that. Where I go introduce myself, give them my business card, let them know if if they ever need any information from my property, here's my number. And then I'll get the information at that point, like their application package or anything like that.
So I love that, because the first inclination I would think would be to be secretive with it. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm renting and why should I share information? But in reality, they're going to find out and you're going to find out. It's just going to make it a little bit harder. So why not be friends and support each other, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not always that way. Yeah, there's times where they'll just not want to give you any information, like their occupancy percentage.
Sure.
They'll give you the prices because it's out in the open, but they will not give you their occupancy numbers.
Okay, so you put together a picture of what the competitive set of properties look like. You know that property A, B, and C are our competitors.
Right.
And so we're looking at what their occupancy is, what they're charging, what specials they have, and all that. And then how do we decide? Do we want to be leading them, following them? Where do we decide? How do we decide where we want to be placed in that market?
So how we choose which properties that we are going to be comparing with is the ones that are similar in what we have, and then the ones that we are going to be add. Like if we're going to add any more amenities to our property, then I look at those communities that have those amenities already and kind of go from there.
So that's like an aspirational property. So maybe we don't have the amenities yet, or our units aren't quite renovated to that level yet, but we want to understand what they're doing because we know based on our business plan that we're heading that direction.
Right.
So we want to keep in tune not only with where we are, but where we're going.
Correct, yes.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've got our rent. We decide what we're going to charge for this unit, and now we've got a bunch of unoccupied units, right? So we just shared with everyone that we dropped occupancy here because we had to for business reasons, but now we've got to climb back up. Give us a little bit behind the scenes on the process when we say, okay, we need to increase occupancy. How do we go from where we are to having the units available, getting them filled up, and getting qualified residents into the property?
Okay, so the marketing part, obviously you get, whether it's apartments.com or anyone that you're going to be using for marketing on that, and then ourselves too, you know, Facebook, for example, social media, anything where you get out there. Then when they come here and you start showing them, one of the things that I've noticed a lot of the new people that walk in here, when you tell them how far this community has gone and how we're going to get even better, how we're under a lot of renovations, they absolutely love that information. They love the fact that if I say you can always Google, I know not everybody likes to do that. You don't want them to go into Google and find the bad reviews, but it also helps you because they can see how the last couple of months these great reviews have happened and how the pictures from when they came to see the property and what they see in online is completely different. A lot of it is, I think, once they come and see, they are very static about what's coming with our property.
Yeah, that's a great tip to promote what's coming. You know, great tip for what the team did here. When we ordered our new playgrounds for the property, we had torn down the old ones, but you know, delays, right? We didn't have those new playgrounds here. We printed out pictures and put them up in the leasing office and said, coming soon. And so anyone that walked in could see, oh, they've already ordered these, they're on their way, you know, pool's coming, you know, playground's coming, whatever it might be, just to get them excited and have something to point to and say, yeah, it's already better, but it's getting even better. Look at what's coming, right? I love that. So we obviously have to start with marketing, right? And so on our side, we ramp up the budgets on apartments.com and all these other social media, as you said. So we start getting interest. What are some ways that we can turn those units really quickly? How do we get that inventory ready for the new people that are now coming in from all that marketing?
You walk the unit once the person moves out and you go ahead and see what we can keep, what we can change, and then you make a plan as to getting them ready within the next week or so, and then you lease it immediately.
We here are planned out every unit that is currently vacant, every unit that will become vacant from now until the next 6 weeks. You were just showing me in the office, we've already rented out. Even if that unit is not available yet, the previous resident is still in there, but you've already rented it out. So how do we think about that? How do we know that that unit's going to be ready? Give us a little bit of the secret sauce sort of in the planning process that goes into it.
Once the person moves out, you go in, you take a look at what you can keep, what you need to do. You obviously call your painter, get your painter going. You need to have someone that is reliable on schedule. So if you tell them, look, I need this unit ready by X day. If there's maintenance repairs, you put there a day or two, depending on how much maintenance work needs to be done. So another 2 days for any resurfacing or anything like that. And then finally the cleaning. So you could essentially have an apartment in 5 days.
Is there any instance where we can walk the units before the resident moves out so we can start to line up our vendors?
I mean, I've done that in other communities when I've been, the property is at 99% leased and you have notices. You let them know that the apartment will be walked a week before, 10 days before they move out. You go walk the unit, you already make your notes, you already have your schedule, somebody pre-leases it, you already have a date for it. Yeah.
Right, so we're pulling this whole process forward. We're getting as much information as early as possible. So a week or 10 days before that person even moves out, we're able to go in, put our scope together. Yeah, it needs new paint, that floorboard is messed up, you know, the fridge maybe needs whatever, right? And we can make our list so that the second that person moves and gets out, we can be ready to roll in there and get all the crews and painters and everyone we need in there. And then you've already got it leased, right? So now we've got a very tight timeline you know, as you said, you'll factor in a few days for this or a few days for that, but you're able now to project forward better in knowing, okay, this unit, I need 5 days. So it's like move out plus 5 days, and then I can schedule the next person in.
We have an actual apartment at the moment where they are scheduled to move out on the 11th, and someone is moving in on the 20th.
Okay.
We already went to check the apartment. There's really nothing that needs to be done in there. They lived there for about 4 months. All we need to really do is do some touch-up paint and clean it up.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Let's talk about sort of the triage, right? This is a large property. We have a lot of units in varying states. We have some that we've renovated and are done. We have some that we've never even walked into since due diligence, right? So how do we gauge, you know, the status of these units, and how do we plan and prioritize and what we can turn to get the most inventory available for the leasing staff?
Obviously, you always, in mind, always want to get the ones that are easiest done faster. I've always been the type of person to think the opposite way is let's get the hard ones done faster, you know, than the one that is already ready.
So I think that the difference there comes depending on the state of the property, right? So when we're more stabilized and we're saying, yeah, let's dig in. We've got the money. We come in well funded. Let's tackle those hard units first. I'm with you on that. I agree with that. You know, about 2 months ago, we had a meeting and we said, let's shift strategies a little bit because yeah, we've been spending a lot on these units and we're taking care of all these very legitimate projects that need to be done at the property that will overall make the property better. But in the meantime, we're sort of accruing these other units that were maybe quick move outs and just need, as you said, a quick coat of paint or maybe a handle or something. So now I think we're in a much better rhythm where as we're walking all those units, we're assessing, hey, this is a 1-day turn, this is a 5-day turn, and we're balancing. And so we're balancing the needs of the property in the long term, which is continuing to renovate those units. We at DeRosa Group are a transparent company, and so we have been very transparent with you here about our occupancy, but we made a very bold move, I think pretty bold move here in the last few months. Our occupancy was struggling. We've been pretty much flat, like up a point, down a point for a while. And, you know, every time I felt like we got some traction, we had a lot of move outs. And so, you know, that's just a natural part of when you own a property this large, there's always going to be people that move out. And so I asked you, I put a challenge to you and said, well, what can we do? Like, what do we do to get occupancy up? There was 1 month, I think we moved in 21 people, which is incredible, and we moved out 22 or 23, right? So it's like we're just not getting traction. Like 21 move-ins for any property is an amazing number, yet we still had all these move-outs that were counteracting it, and we ended the month in a lower occupancy. So talk to me about, you know, your recommendation, because we did something very bold here, which is reduced rents. In a market that is growing rents by 10-11% per year, we said, hold on, let's actually backtrack our rents and go lower. So let's talk about that decision a little bit.
Okay, so we decided to go ahead and go down on the rents and see, if you think about it, everybody, all the communities around the area, all of our comps, their rents are around the same amount as we are. So if we lowered our rents, then it will create a wave and get all of those traffics that they had, that the rents were too high for them, and come this way. I mean, we've increased our traffic by, like, you know, 20 people in 1 week versus having only 8 or maybe 10 applications. You know, this morning we had 3 applications before noon.
Wow.
Applications have double digits every week for the last 3-4 weeks since we started this discount on the rents. The drop was $70. We only did it for the highest vacancy we had, which is our 2 bedrooms. And I mean, we're pre-leased for the next 6 weeks.
And so it's working, right? So we saw our occupancy, our pre-leased occupancy jump 7, 8, 9% in a matter of just a few weeks.
Yeah.
And so to go from 3 to 4 applications, approvals per week to 3 before you had lunch today on a Monday morning is huge. And so that allows us, you know, to better plan for the future, and just emphasizes the point that every business has, and all of these properties are a business, but you have varying needs. And so we had a larger need to fill up our occupancy than we did to hit our target rents. And because if I've got 3 approvals a week at my target rents, that's great. But if I have 10 approvals a week for $70 lower per unit, the return on investment is off the charts, right? I'm doing way, way better by filling those units at a lower rate. And then when we get to 90 or 95% occupancy, we'll probably dial back in to the higher number, because 3 applications a week at the higher number when you're 95% full is amazing, right? So we know that we're probably actually maybe even lower than we could be, I think, in the future. I'll push you on rents later on. So I think that what we saw was a great indicator of what this property being stabilized can do. And now knowing that we had to dial back the rents a little bit, but we're bringing all these great people in, and our revenue is going to take a huge step up here in August and in September with all these new leases, then we can fine tune and go back to where we were, right?
Yeah. Increase of college students. I think the dropping of the rents really helped, because, you know, they go to dorms, and I'm not sure exactly how much the prices are for a dorm, but when your rent is lower and it's something they can afford, being that they're on a budget, they're limited time they can work. I mean, we're probably now at like 7 units that are pre-leased for college students.
So we went from 0 before we bought the property. We had 1, I think, for a while. Now 7, as you said, and hopefully more coming. So why is that a good thing? Why is having more college students as residents a good indicator for us?
Well, for one is the clientele. I mean, they tell their other classmates to let them know what we are offering them, how close we are to their schools. We're very close to all the major schools here. They also all of them have either a parent or someone of an adult as the co-signer. So they're going to make sure that the apartment is taken care of. One of the things is, if it's their freshman year, then that means that I'm going to have someone that may stay, whether it's one of them, 2 of them, stay for up to 4 years.
Right. Okay. So kind of built in for the term that they're in school. Well, that's great. I mean, I think we've found a sweet spot for where we are now. You know, and the key here is listening to the needs of the business, listening to the marketplace, listening to your expert staff who's at the property, talking to the people that are coming in the door every day, and adjusting your strategy. Because we had a strategy when we bought the property, we had a strategy at the start of this year, and we're constantly amending and adjusting to see what the market brings. And that's so important. And so you've been a huge help for us, a huge key in our success, and we're so proud to have you on our team.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you.